There's just always some sense of validation as a model that does feel good. I'm not walking around like I'm better than you. Do they not pick me because I'm bald-headed? When in my head, I'm like down here, like this ain't even my final form. Hey you guys, happy Sunday. As you can tell, I'm in a different environment. I am home for the month. I decided to do a quick escape from New York City and just come home, spend some time with family. I was really missing my dog. Anyways, you guys know that on my channel, I try to be as open and honest as I can about my modeling career and the modeling industry as a whole, just because I feel like a lot of things that we see on social media, especially TikTok nowadays, because people showcase their entire lives, most of the time we see all the good things that are happening in people's careers, whether they be models or influencers or anything else in that realm. People like to show the highlight reel. Social media is pretty much a highlight reel, and all these people who aspire to be models or actors or influencers have this kind of warped idea of what it's really like to be in that lifestyle. People often do look up to these types of people and aspire to have those lifestyles because, again, all they're seeing are the highlight reels that these people are posting on social media. They don't understand like everything that goes into it. So on my channel, I try to be as open and real about my experience as a model in this industry. But with all that being said, in this video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the pros and cons of being a model. The pros and cons of being in the modeling industry. First on my list, the first pro of being a model, at least for me, from my experience, it is a major self-esteem and confidence boost. If you guys don't know my story about like how I started modeling in the first place, I started as a really shy, insecure, like 13-year-old kid. My mom found this random modeling school and she encouraged me to go try out for it with my sisters. First time I didn't make it because I was so shy, insecure, literally head down the entire time when they made us walk the runway. I just was not feeling it. I was not comfortable in my skin, but it was the first thing that kind of like sparked some interest in having some kind of self-esteem. It was the first like notion I had ever had about anything like that. So the next year I went and tried out again and I made it because I was much more confident. I had begun building my confidence, and it was literally modeling that sparked that for me. And just like being in front of the camera, like the flashing lights, getting my makeup done, seeing myself transform, like, you know, you have people telling you you look gorgeous all the time. Not saying that I'm seeking validation, but everybody loves validation. Like it makes you feel great. So, you know, you see how beautiful you look with the makeup on, you have people telling you how beautiful you are all the time. Like there is this notion like everybody wants to be a model, or every guy wants a model on their arm. There's just always some sense of validation as a model that does feel good, but you have to have the balance of allowing this validation to just give you the boost that you need to make it through your day, give you the boost that you need to keep going in your career, versus allowing the validation to make you big-headed, blowing your head up and making you think that you're better and prettier than everybody else. So yeah, that's definitely a pro. The validation, the self-esteem boost. But in the same way that being a model can boost your self-esteem because you constantly have this validation thrown at you, even though you're not like really asking for it or begging for it, it kind of just finds you. Modeling can tear your self-esteem apart. With modeling, you're often chosen based on like how pretty you are, how clear your skin is, how thin or thick you are depending on what figure they're looking for at the time, how long your hair is, and you're being put up against all these other people in the modeling industry over and over and over and over and over again. You're constantly put in competition with all these other beautiful people, these beautiful souls, and that can kind of be detrimental to one's self-esteem if you don't develop thick skin before getting into the modeling industry. That will make you feel awful about yourself. It'll have you question like, am I pretty enough? Is my skin clear enough? Am I thin enough? Do they not pick me because I'm bald-headed? Do they not pick me because I have a breakout right here? Did they not pick me because my hip measurements are too big? You start to ask all these questions, and they always say comparison is the thief of joy. And as a model, sometimes you find yourself comparing yourself to other models, maybe other models that are taller than you, maybe other models that are booking more work than you do. You start to ask yourself, what are they doing that I'm not doing? why are they able to work as much as they are and I'm not working at all? So there's definitely a lot of comparison in the modeling industry, and that will be detrimental to your self-esteem. So in the same way that being a model can boost you up, it can tear you down as well. So again, you have to find that balance and you have to build thick skin. Another pro of being a model is that you can make really good money as a model, especially now with brands paying models to do user-generated content as opposed to going into the studio. You have the potential for brands to be paying you out up to 10, 20, 30 grand. And even when you do like beauty campaigns or any other major campaigns, that could be like 30 grand for one booking. So again, models make a lot of good money, but you have to put the work in to be able to book consistent clients and to really build your clientele so that brands want to work with you. They want to see your face. The downside of that is that as a model, you don't see your money right away. So agencies, in most contracts, they have like the net 90 clause where they have up to 90 days to pay you out for whatever booking you did. Most of the time, clients will pay the agency within like a month, but agencies tend to hold models' money for up to 3 months so that it can accrue interest. And models don't see that interest. The agencies take the interest and then pay the models out for whatever amount the model was booked for by the client. I know a lot of people that are in the Model Alliance have been working really hard to implement a law that would force agencies it would basically do away with the net 90 clause and force agencies to pay out models within 30 days. So when and if that goes into effect, that will be major for the modeling industry, and I'm sure a lot of other models will be ecstatic about that because who wants to wait 3 months for their paycheck? You really have to be diligent and intentional about the way that you spend your money because you don't know when you're going to see your next paycheck. Granted, you don't always have to wait 3 months for your paycheck, but just know they have 3 months to pay you out. So sometimes you'll get paid a month after doing the job, sometimes you'll get paid 2 months after doing the job, sometimes you'll get paid 3 months after doing the job. It all depends. And if the client doesn't pay your agent at all, then you'll either never see that money or you'll be waiting a long time for that money. But I've heard so many stories of models just never getting paid for bookings. Thankfully, I've never experienced that because I don't play about my money. But yeah, it happens and it's so unfortunate. So a pro, you can make a lot of money as a model. A con, you don't know when you're gonna see that money. On the upside, a pro of being a model or being in the industry is that you get to meet so many people, whether you're going to a party, going to a networking event, going to like a promoter dinner, working on set, going to castings. Like there are so many different opportunities for you to meet people and you really have to take advantage of it. For me, it has always been difficult because I am an introvert, but the longer I stay in the industry, the more talkative I become and the more I realize how important it is to just talk to other people, tell people what you're doing, ask them about themselves. And it's not even like asking them questions to see like, oh, how can you help me? You can really make some amazing friends in this industry just by like opening yourself up and opening your ears and listening to what people have going on. I can admit that early in my career, I was one of the models that just came to set to do my job. I would sit in the corner probably eating something because you guys know I'm always eating on set. And I wouldn't talk to anyone. I would be head down in a book or head down on my phone. But nowadays when I go to set, I make sure I talk to everyone, including the models, the makeup artists, the nail techs, the hairstylists, the photographers, the director. Like I'm talking to everybody and I do my best to try to remember everyone's names. But oftentimes you're meeting so many people that can be difficult. That's why it's great to like exchange information. Instagram is like my go-to when meeting people on set, just so you can stay in touch and you can continue to keep up with whatever they're up to. I know a lot of models who have gotten bookings just because they met someone on set and that person remembered them and they kept in touch with them and would bring them on to other projects. So it's so important to talk to people because in this industry you will meet so many cool people. And another thing is, especially working in New York City is a melting pot, and so you're meeting so many people from so many different countries that speak so many different languages, and you just have connections everywhere. Like I did extra work for a French film that just happened to be filming one of the scenes in Soho, and one of I forget what his role was, I think he was like DP or something, lives in Mexico. So now anytime I go to Mexico City, I have a connection in Mexico City because I met this guy on set of a movie. we talked, we exchanged Instagrams, and now we keep in touch on social media. And it's not like we're besties or anything, but this is someone that I got to know and connected with, and we still keep in touch. So just having those connections all around the world because you're in this industry and because you live in a melting pot city like New York City, as long as you're taking advantage of those connections, like, they will definitely pay off in the long run. But of course, you know it was coming. A downside to meeting so many people is that sometimes you get introduced to the wrong people. There are so many stories of young models who get into the industry maybe before they're ready. Their minds are super impressionable, they're young, their parents are likely not around, and they just get in the mix of the wrong people. Although meeting a lot of people in this industry can be fun, you know, you get invited to parties, you get invited to dinners, you get invited to bars, like, you get invited everywhere, but you never know, like, the kinds of people that you're going to be exposed to in these places. It's so important to just be diligent and headstrong and really standing in who you are as a person, to not be easily influenced by the people and environments that you will be around as a model. And along with people who may be indulging in certain substances, you also meet people who are just clout chasing or moochers, just looking for the next come up. And so you really have to learn how to discern who is genuine and who is not. So you really just have to keep a keen eye out and kind of notice people's behaviors and really just pay attention to how people move around you. And I think over time you'll be able to discern who's really rocking with you for you and who's rocking with you because they're trying to figure out how you can help them in the end. So yeah, it's nice to be exposed to different cultures and different people in different positions within the industry, even outside of modeling. But also, like any environment, you just have to recognize who's really for you and who just may not be your cup of tea, and that's totally fine. No judgment for the people who do indulge, but if you know that that is not your lifestyle, if you know that that is not how you were raised, if you know that if you indulged, it would completely take you off track from your career. Probably one of my favorite pros of being a model is the fact that you get so much access to free things. People literally just hand you free stuff because you're pretty. Like, I don't even have a massive following. I only have like 6K followers. I am not considered an influencer by any means. You guys know if it's free, it's for me. Free food, free clothes, free makeup, free skincare. Like, yes, give it to me. I love it. I remember this one time my friend invited me as a +1 because, again, she got invited to have dinner at this really fancy new restaurant on Park Ave. And she got a +1, so I went with her. But while I was walking there, I walked past a new, like, exclusive bar that had just opened. I just, like, was walking to the restaurant, and when we got to the restaurant, one of the staff members of the restaurant was actually a part of the bar also, and he was like, "Oh my god, you girls are so gorgeous, like, you have to come check out this bar that just opened." And we go to the bar, and as soon as I walk in the door, the girl goes she like gasps when she sees me, and she runs up to me and she's like, "Oh my god, I saw you like walk past the bar, like, outside. I don't know where you were going, but I was like, oh my god, she's so stunning, she has to come in here." So we went to the bar for free, we got free drinks, like, everything was just comped because I was pretty. And I'm like, wow, I love it here. I love this for me. Aside from being pretty, a lot of models do get access to things. Our agencies are connected with different businesses around the city, and because of that, they connect models to whatever events those brands or businesses are hosting. We get invited to a lot of dinners, a lot of events. Of course, we get sent free products. It's awesome. It's kind of like being an influencer, but without doing all of the work that influencers have to do. So it's amazing. But with any good, you know, there's a little bit of bad in there too. So a con of getting access to all these free things is that sometimes these free things come with stipulations. Sometimes these free things come with a catch. So you have to be smart about what types of free things you're accepting, and you have to read the fine print. What do they want you to do in exchange for receiving these free goods? So for instance, a brand could reach out to you and offer you a free product or a free service or a free experience in exchange for maybe you posting about the experience, or exchange for you like telling someone about it, or in exchange for them being able to take pictures of you and using it for advertisements. But on the other hand, you find out that they are paying someone else to do these things, whereas they're just offering you it for free. A brand could send you something for free, but then they want you to post like 5 different carousel images on Instagram, and they want you to post an Instagram story, and they want you to make a reel, and they want you to make 5 different TikToks, and they want you to make a YouTube video about it, and they want you to send them all the content so that they can post it on their social media, but they're not paying you. It is just you getting a free item. It's just like a gifting exchange. So again, you have to read the fine print. You have to decide what you're willing to accept for free and what you're willing to do in exchange for receiving these things for free. So that's the downside about it. But honestly, I think it's more so a pro because you have the option to turn down anything that's offered to you for free if you don't want to do what's in the fine print. Another pro of being a model, which is something that was very important to me, is your ability to influence and the amount of reach that you have as a model. I guess depending on where you are at in your career. For me personally, I showcase a lot of my career on Instagram, and with that, I was able to build up or have some kind of influence over other people and like what they were doing with their lives and how they were going about pursuing their dreams, whether it be in modeling, acting, or anything else. A lot of people saw me going after what I wanted and saw me achieving my goals, and they would reach out to me all the time, still to this day reach out to me all this time and tell me like how much I inspired them, how much I influenced them to go after such and such, like how much I impacted their lives. And it's crazy because that is part of the reason why I went so hard, or why I'm going so hard in modeling in the first place, is because I want to show people that you can literally do anything that you want in this lifetime, whether it be modeling, whether it be becoming president, whether it be becoming CEO, whether it be being an entrepreneur and building your own like business. You can do anything that you want. It's all about your mindset. I think being a model has given me the platform to be able to show people that, because people are inherently intrigued by the modeling lifestyle. Like even if you don't want to be a model, there is some kind of interest in like what the day to day of a model's life looks like what are models doing, what are they eating, like how much are they getting paid, like how are they going here and here. There is some kind of interest in like what a model's life is like, and I think that being a model and having that platform and having that influence has allowed me to reach other people that I may not have reached had I chosen a different career. When you are able to create and build a platform from your career on social media and even in real life, like you have the ability to impact so many lives positively, hopefully, if you're using your platform for good. Granted, you can do that with any other career depending on how you spin that to outsiders looking in on your life. But for me personally, I see a con of that as being people put you on a pedestal that you didn't necessarily ask to be on. So like for me, I pursued modeling because it was the first thing that I knew that I was like actually interested in and that I could actually be good at. And I also did it because I knew I wanted to like inspire people to go after their dreams, because I didn't see women that looked like me in Target ads, like on television, in commercials, and so I wanted to be that representation, and that's why I keep going so hard now. But I am nowhere near where I want to be in my career, and I think because again social media is a highlight reel and I post like the things that I booked on my social media, people only see that and they think that I am like up here, when in my head I'm like down here. Like this ain't even my final form, you know? I think people put you on a pedestal that you didn't really like technically ask to be on, and because they have you on this pedestal, they have certain expectations of how you should act, like how you should talk, what you should wear, where you should be at, and they project all those things onto you when it makes it hard to live your life like as you normally would, because you know you have so many eyes on you and so many expectations of you, and you don't want to disappoint people. Like even though you didn't ask for them to have these kinds of expectations, like it hurts to know that you've disappointed people. And so I think that being a model, you have this amazing platform, right? But you also have all these eyes on you and all these expectations of how you should carry yourself, and expectations just lead to disappointment. So it can kind of be hard to balance the two, and I definitely see how that can be the downside to having such a large platform as a model. All right, we are finally at the last pro and con. Another pro of being a model, of course, is that you get to travel so much. Like, depending on what clients you work with and depending on what brands you work with, you get to travel for work, and that is so fun. Like, that's so amazing. That was one of my many goals in my modeling career, is that I would get to travel at least once a month for work, and I haven't gotten to that point yet. Not yet. I've traveled, like, I think the furthest that I've traveled for work was like upstate New York. But now that I'm with Wilhelmina, I'm hoping that I'll start to book jobs elsewhere. But that is one of like my big goals of being a model. Depending on your client, if they pay for your room and board and your travel accommodations and things like that, it is amazing. Like, when I booked my job upstate, they called me a car to my apartment. The chauffeur guy was literally standing outside my car with my name on the sheet of paper. Like, that is when I felt like I made it. Like, I was so excited. I literally took a picture of it and sent it to my mom. I had only ever seen that in TV, and like, the client had a chauffeur for me, and I was so excited. But anyways, yeah, they had a car, pick me up from my apartment and drive like 2.5, 3 hours to upstate New York, drop me off on set, immediately went straight to work, and then afterwards had a car drive us to the hotel. They paid for the hotel, and that was my first like travel experience. That was my first job that I had to travel for, and I felt spoiled, and it was because the client had paid for everything. So traveling as a model can be so fun, and sometimes you even have days where you're not working. So like, you have your travel day, and then maybe you'll have like one day to yourself, and they'll give you a per diem. So like, they'll pay you for the job itself, and then they give you like a little bit of money each day to like go eat or sightsee or do whatever. But of course, you knew there was going to be a con to follow up with that. So a con of traveling as a model is that sometimes you have to pay for it yourself, and that can get really expensive. Most of the girls that I know that travel for like Milan Fashion Week or Paris Fashion Week or even Miami and LA Fashion Week have to pay for their own flights and accommodations, and you guys know runway modeling does not pay that much, especially if you're not like a top model. Even the top models are like not getting that much money. Runway modeling is more so for like exposure, so you can get exposed to big brands, and those big brands can book you for campaigns that then pay a lot of money. But runway modeling in itself pays slim to none, and so a lot of models go into debt going to these fashion weeks because, again, they have to pay for their own flight, they have to pay for their own accommodations, they're paying for the Ubers to get around to these castings and these shows. Like, they are paying, and they're paying for their food, like they're paying for everything, and then barely getting paid anything for the actual show themselves. So that's definitely a downside to traveling as a model. And also, sometimes, you guys know I said, as a model, you have the opportunity to make a lot of money, but sometimes you don't see your money until 2 or 3 months down the line. So a lot of models have to get advance payments from their agencies to be able to pay for the flight or to be able to pay for the hotel to get them wherever they need to go for that particular booking if the client is not paying. And if an agency advances a model money, a lot of times, depending on what your contract looks like, that advancement accrues interest. So when you pay your agency back, you have to pay them what you borrowed or what they loaned you plus interest. And that is how a lot of models, especially the younger models that are starting out and know nothing about the agency, that's how they accumulate so much debt, and they end up being indebted to their agencies, and these agents will lock them into the contract and not let them out until they pay what they owe them. It can get real messy if the client is not paying for your travel and accommodations. So for me personally, I would advise to like never borrow money from the agency or to never ask for advance payments for the agency. I will always say, if a client is booking me and I have to travel, they either need to pay for the travel accommodations and the flight, or it's got to be a big enough payment to where even if I booked my own flight and my own accommodations, I wouldn't even miss that money because what they're paying me is so much more. You kind of just have to determine what you can afford and what you're willing to accept, and like knowing your worth and not just saying yes to any old job just because it's a job. Like, if you can't afford to do that job, then you just gonna have to say no to that one. You just gonna have to suck it up, sweetie, or get a loan from your agency and just pay the interest if that is what you want to do. But that is a downside to traveling as a model. You definitely have to have the budget for it if the client is not paying you. So with that being said, of course, there are a plethora of other pros and cons of being in the modeling industry, but those are just like the first few that came to mind, the more prominent ones that a lot of other models will probably agree with. And again, this video was to show you both the good, bad, and ugly of the modeling industry. With every good, there's probably a little bit of bad lagging behind it. And I feel like on social media, because it is a highlight reel, a lot of people who are interested in the modeling industry but not in the modeling industry have no idea what the heck is going on this side. So that is what my channel is for. Here to give you guys a little bit of the inside scoop, a little bit more insight as to what actually goes on in the life of a model in this industry. So if you guys found this video interesting or helpful, give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do that. Go ahead and do that. I'll wait. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye! 'Cause I'm not just a pretty girl.